So this year we are 10 years old, and we've been celebrating in many ways. But one of the things that I got asked to do was to do an interview for our 10th year on 10 lessons in leadership, which I found quite hard to begin with because there's miles more than 10 lessons in leadership. So I really thought long and hard about the fundamentals of T2 and what are the lessons or the theories or the fundamental things that sit behind everything we do when it comes to leadership development. And so we wrote the 10 lessons of leadership. Okay, let's start with lesson one. And lesson one was, it's really the cornerstone of everything we do. It's the fundamental foundation behind T2, why I started it. And it's what we cover before we go into any form of learning and development. And that's understanding the psychology and the motivation behind human behavior. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to understand how groups of people collaborate, communicate, and behave as one, if you're going to need to understand how people think, feel, act, and behave, where decisions come from, and how that correlates to performance, then you have to understand how the brain works. You have to understand the evolutionary reasons as to why the brain is wired the way it is. And so we do this by exploring the three core functions of human existence. And that sounds like a really deep, meaningful topic, doesn't it? But when I talk about the three core functions of human existence, we talk about survival, number one. We are programmed to survive. If we go back hundreds of thousands of years, our first instinct, our brain's number one job was to protect us at all costs, to keep us alive. Self-preservation is the brain's first core function of human existence. So this is where our fight or flight comes from. You've probably heard that terminology. It's where anxieties and worry comes from, because it's designed to get us away from danger, to spot danger, to preserve yourself. The reason that's really crucial to understand is because even in the modern day world where we no longer run from predators every day, or life or death is not an everyday situation, it is still informing all of our decisions, all of our perceptions, and therefore we have to be aware of how this thing works. Survival is the number one reason that we move away from pain and consequence, and it's the motivation behind a lot of human behaviours. The second core function of human existence is reproduction. As well as self-preserving, we had to continue our species. So to find a mate and reproduce is heavily and hardwired into the brain. And this means that it's not all fight or flight and anxiety. It's responsible for your desires and attractions. It's responsible for your pleasure system. And I talk about this in the book, Pain and Pleasure. And the third core function of human existence is purpose. Just as survival is the thing that governs us away from pain and danger, purpose gives us our role or our sense of belonging. This is the core function that governs us towards pleasure and reward and fulfillment. And so in order to understand any form of leadership or teams or performance or how to lead teams, you first need to explore where behaviours come from, where motivation comes from. And what we can conclude, therefore, is that all human behaviour comes from moving away from pain, survival, or towards pleasure and fulfillment, purpose.